Hi everybody, welcome to our latest edition of Science Bytes. I am Miss Nicole with Bloomfield Public Library, and today we are going to be making slime. Not just any slime, we are going to be doing galaxy slime. I'm doing a lot of spacey themed programs this month, so I thought it would be a lot of fun to do a spacey twist on our classic slime recipe. So before we even get into how slime works, I want to go over our supply list. And if you go to our events calendar online, you will see that I documented in that description for our program today all the supplies you will need, including the slime recipe that we are going to go over today. So let me go over those supplies with you one by one. So one of the most important items for our slime recipe is going to be glue. And I have here a big container of just clear school glue, Elmer school glue. Clear works especially nicely for something like galaxy slime, but if you only have white glue, that works just fine too. You will also need some glitter. That's what's going to give some sparkle to our galaxy slime. It's going to be our stars. So there are actually different kinds of glitter, believe it or not. Now this is sort of your typical run-of-the-mill, buy it in any craft shop glitter. But you can see that it's kind of bigger pieces of glitter. The best glitter to use for this recipe is an extra fine craft glitter, which you may not have at home. You might be able to tell just from looking at these two bottles the difference in the two glitters. So see, the extra fine is a lot tinier. So if you only have this kind of glitter at home, it is fine to use it. You just might feel a little bit while you're playing and stretching the slime because it's bigger pieces. If it's an extra fine glitter, it'll be a little smoother when you're playing with your slime. That's the only real big difference. And you can go with any color glitter you want. I went with silver because I was thinking about stars. You could go with gold. You could go with pink, blue, whatever glitter you want to use. I just thought silver would be kind of cool in our slime for today. Another really important supply for today's slime recipe is liquid starch. Here I have a container of it here. You find it in the laundry section of the supermarket. The brand doesn't really matter. This brand I found on Amazon, so this is the one I ordered, but I've used other brands before. But you're looking for liquid starch. You only really have two more ingredients that are important. One is going to be food color, and I don't usually get picky about food color, but it is easier when you're mixing a recipe like this to use a gel food color instead of a liquid food color. So I just went on to Amazon again and I ordered a box of some gel food colorings. I made sure I got one that had an assortment of colors I might want to use. One of the colors I really wanted to make sure I saw was black. Because you're going to make 3 separate batches of slime, and when we look up at the night sky, it's really dark. So I wanted to make sure I had a black gel food coloring, and then it's just whatever you want to use. I may use a pink or a purple, and then maybe also a blue, and I'll end up mixing those 3 together. And then the last ingredient is water. So just to make it easy for myself, I put it in my little mini pot here, my mini watering pot, because it makes it easy to pour. But you don't need a lot of water. So however it makes it easy for you to pour into a measuring cup, that's how you can gather your water. You just need room temperature water. Nothing special, just get water from the tap. I do also have, just to make things a little easier later on for myself, I do have some non-stick tin foil on hand. And the reason I have that is because I don't want the slime sticking to anything. And when I get to the point where I can sort of lay out my slime and play with it a little bit, spreading out a sheet of the non-stick foil is a nice touch. You will also need a variety of mixing bowls and spoons, at least 3 of each, because you remember you're making 3 batches of slime. If you have some really good sort of wax-coated paper bowls and some plastic spoons on hand, that's great, because then you can just throw those away at the end. If you don't, that's all right. You just have to be careful during cleanup, because we don't want any slime going down our sink drain. That can create problems. Any extra slime or things that are left over should be going in the trash, not down your sink drain. And you will need some measuring spoons and measuring cups. Let's begin making some slime. Okay, so the first thing we need is 1/4 cup of our glue. I'm gonna take off the cap here. Here's my 1/4 cup measuring cup. I'm just gonna pour that out. There we go, and just dump that right into your bowl. You can get all the little extra bits out with your spoon. Now we need to stir 1/8 cup of water, just room temperature water, into our bowl. And if you don't have a 1/8 measuring cup, like I don't have one. The equivalent is 2 tablespoons. So I'm gonna use this little handy dandy liquid measuring device, and I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of water, or 1/8 cup. I'm just gonna pour the water right in. Pour it right into your glue. And now you are going to stir those two together. It's a little difficult to see because I'm dealing with white on white on white here. But you want to stir until they're completely incorporated. It can take a little time to mix the glue and the water together, but you shouldn't be able to see any difference between the 2 items in the bowl. So give it a good stir for a while. You want to make sure everything is completely incorporated. And I'm almost there. There we go. And it looks to me like one smooth liquid right now. So I know I've done a good job mixing. Now it is time to add our food coloring to our glue and water mixture. And I'm going to start with black. And then I think my other 2 colors will probably be pink and blue, but let's start with black. So I'm just gonna take off the cap. And this is something you just eyeball. So I'm just gonna add, give it a good squeeze here. You know, let's see how well that does. That was definitely a good several drops. Ooh, it's looking nice and black. So that's probably plenty of gel food coloring. Look at that. Remember, it was white and now it's nice and black. And now is when we add the glitter. So we want to add maybe about 2 teaspoons worth of glitter. That's usually what I do per batch of slime. So I'm going to use my extra fine. And I'm gonna, again, just open up the cap. I've got it wide open here. And here's my teaspoon measure. And you do not have to be super exact with this either. So it's sort of a personal preference. But I'm gonna try and add about 2 teaspoons to each batch. If you're running short on glitter at home, you don't have to do that much. You can do less. I'm gonna stir that. Ooh, that looks fun. So I'm gonna stir this into my mixture here, my liquidy mixture. And you can see there's nothing slimy about this yet. It's still very liquidy. And that's because we haven't added the magic ingredient yet. Let's see if you can remember from our list of ingredients what that would be. So now, I don't know if you can see it really well, but now we've got our black mixture with a lot of glitter in it. It's the way I like it. Now it is time for us to add our final ingredient, which is the liquid starch. Now for the liquid starch, it is also just 1/8 cup, which, if you remember, was also 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to use my tablespoon measurer here, and I am going to do 2 tablespoons of the liquid starch. Now, let me pour this first. I'm just going to do that. There we go. So I've got 2 tablespoons. I'm going to pour it straight in and start mixing. And now you are going to start to see some of the magic happen. You can see how it's sort of moving in one big blob. It is already starting to turn more slimy versus liquidy. I'm gonna keep stirring it around. Use your spoon as long as you can, because then it gets messy. You can see already it's gathering from around the bowl, gathering together into one big slimy blob. You may find that you need to get your hands in there to do some of this mixing. You may also find, if depending on how you did your measuring, that you have a little bit of extra liquid left over. And if that's the case, then you'll just end up pulling your slime out of that extra mixture, and that's okay. But it looks to me like our measurements were pretty spot on. That looks like a pretty solid blob of slime to me. So now I am going to repeat all those steps and create 2 other batches, one using pink and one using blue. And I'll come back to you in just a minute when that's done. I've got all 3 batches of my slime now made, all in exactly the same way. I have my blue, I've got my pink, and I've got, of course, for my night sky, my black. So now we're gonna actually pull these out of our bowls. I'm gonna plunk them right on top of my nonstick foil. So there's my blue. Oh, there's a little left over on my spoon. I'm gonna take that off. This is where we get our hands into things. I'm gonna take out my pink and my black. Now we want to just do some final kneading to make sure everything's incorporated nicely. Ooh, and look, I think that's pretty good. Now we did use dye, which means we might get some coloring on our hands, but that's okay. It will come off eventually with some nice washings. Here's my pink. Ooh, the pink's a little stickier. It tells me that it probably didn't, my measurements were probably a little bit different with this one. So I definitely want to squeeze this one a bit and make sure everything's incorporated nicely. And our blue, let's see, give that some nice squeezes. Now I'm going to teach you guys a tip that somebody gave me years ago. You may have seen this online. And I don't know why it works like it does. As you can see, some of the slime is sticking to me a little bit, especially with the pink. So if I hold the pink again, scrape it off my foil. You can even see it sticking to the foil, my non-stick foil. Very sticky, right? It's sticking to my hands. And somebody I watched years ago said to use a little hand lotion to make it nice and smooth. Honestly, I don't know what it does. But I'm using a little hand lotion on the outside of my slime, and it's making it nice and smooth. I might use a little more. Doesn't matter what kind of hand lotion you're using, but it helps smooth it out a little bit so it's a little less sticky. Because what we want to do is essentially, so I've got my rope of pink. I'm going to move my hand lotion out of the way, although I'm going to take a little from my blue. So I got my hand lotion here for my blue. Give that a little lotion onto my blue, and I'm gonna make a nice little rope of it. Put it right next to my pink. And then we also have our black, and again, I'm gonna do a little lotion just to help smooth it out a little bit. And make a nice little rope of my black. And now we are going to merge these together to become our galaxy slime. And you can do that however you want. I'm probably just gonna scoop them up a little bit and twist them. Here, I got it sticking again. I'm gonna use a little more of that lotion. So it's a little less sticky on the, there we go. And I'm gonna twist and I'm gonna stretch. And look at that. That is a beautiful color. Gotta make sure I get a nice picture of that. And look at all that glitter. Look at how it sparkles in the sun. I am outside, so we're seeing it sparkle nicely. And that is how we make our galaxy slime. So what exactly is happening? How did we get our slime? Look how that sparkles in the sunshine. How did we get our slime by adding all those ingredients together? As you could see, the magic ingredient was the liquid starch. Our glue, two of our most important ingredients were the glue and the liquid starch. Our glue is made of polymers. And you know that's one of my favorite subjects here in Science Bytes. Polymers are those strands of lots of different individual, what we call monomers or molecules. And in glue, those strands, think of little chains, are all just kind of moving against each other, slipping right past each other. That's why glue is liquidy, right? It's a thick liquid, but it's liquidy. So those polymers are all just moving against each other, slipping right past. When we add that liquid starch, the liquid starch connects everything. Think of all these locks just connecting all of those chains of polymers together. And that's why everything starts to come together into a more solid mass. So then we don't have liquid, right? Look, I can even hold this plate up sideways and my slime is holding. But it could, but if I wanted to stretch it, I could certainly stretch my slime. So it's not totally solid. It's not like a block of wood. But it definitely, that liquid starch has what they call, I think, ion borates that pull together all those polymers so they don't just slide past each other anymore, they connect. And that's how we get our slime. So enjoy making your slime, and I look forward to seeing you with my next edition of Science Bytes. Bye, everybody.